Mr. Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. I can't imagine there is anything on his mind today. Bill.
Beck.
Pipe bombs.
Yeah. No idea. You know, I think we have to wait for the FBI to arrest somebody, which I feel will happen fairly quickly.
We don't, Bill. Come on. We don't have to wait for any of that.
No,
CNN was out, and New York Times were out with their opinion immediately.
I know, and they bear no responsibility for the acrimony, word of the day, sweeping across the nation. The New York Times and CNN bear no responsibility.
None.
For 18 months, more than that, 2 years, 2 years of constant negativity, constant criticism, constant smearing, but they bear no responsibility, Beck.
Okay, just to make your point so crystal clear, I'd like to play a couple of audio pieces for you just to listen to them, and then this, I'm sure, backs this up. Could we play flashback Rick Wilson, please?
Trump is still a very powerful force right now, and he's still holding a lot of the part of the base that is very activated by his message, the nativist message that's got a fraction of the base very energized. And the donor class can't just sit back on the sidelines and say, oh, well, don't worry, this will all work itself out. They're still going to have to go out and put a bullet in Donald Trump, and that's a fact.
Okay, so that's MSNBC. How about this is Johnny Depp.
It's just a question. I'm not insinuating anything. By the way, this is going to be in the press. It'll be horrible. But I like that you're all a part of it. When was the last time an actor assassinated a president?
How about this one? Flashback law professor on Trump.
You can't be the boy who cried wolf and expect to have a viable impeachment power. You can't use it over and over again against the same president.
Right.
If you're going to shoot him, you've got to shoot to kill.
Now,
and that requires an overwhelming majority of a bipartisan kind.
Okay. Let me go to MSNBC again, what Jeb Bush should do.
So I told Jeb Bush after that debate that I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
When he came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers, he said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
So, Bill.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't target districts. We can't target because that causes violence. Put a bullet in the head, punch him in the face, take him out, put a bullet into Donald Trump. When's the last time an actor killed a president? I don't know. What do you think?
It's hard for me to keep stating the same thing over and over again. I mean, I think everybody listening to us right now understands that, President Trump is undisciplined in the way he phrases things, but his choice, as I laid out in my column on BillO'Reilly.com, he had a choice. So President Trump could have done what George W. Bush did, was ignore the personal attacks. Bush is a fascist. Bush is stupid. Bush knew about there were no weapons of discretion, but killed American soldiers anyway. Bush ignored it all.
65% of Democrats believed when George Bush was in office that he had something to do with 9/11, and that conspiracy was started by someone they claim is on the right, and he is not. It was started by, what's his fat-faced loudmouth guy? What's his name, Stu? Alex Jones. 65%.
Whatever it is, and I talked to Bush about this on television extensively, and he basically said, factor, that's my strategy. I'm not changing it. Okay, so that's number one. So Donald Trump could have done that, easy, but he chose to fight back. Trump did. And he said, I'm not going to let these people marginalize me because it'll never end. And the American people see me as a fighter. They see me as a person who strikes back when attacked. So I'm going to do that. So then you have to say, okay, well, who started the fracas? Who started this? And you can make a case that Trump's bombastic attacks on his rivals in the primary process started it. You can make a case for that.
How?
But,
How?
well, because,
He's a
calling people names.
Yeah, he's a symptom. The American people have never been this way. We've never been this way.
No.
He was a
But
symptom
what I'm
of
saying
people
is
feeling beaten and kicked to death by being called racist and homophobe
Right,
and
but
everything else by the press.
That came later when it was apparent that Trump was a player and could win. See, what people don't understand is that in the beginning, the press didn't think that Donald Trump could do anything. He didn't have a chance. He was like entertainment. All right, let's bring out the dancing bear. That's how the press saw him. But then when he started to win, the whole strategy changed. And I keep saying that this comes from the corporate level, and it does. Okay, so then it was destroy him. Destroy him. That were the orders that came down from the editors at the New York Times. Not in those words, but it was very clear what they wanted to do. Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, and
Google,
the
Facebook. I mean, they're on video saying that.
Yes. Okay. So there's no doubt that people listening to us know that. So then it's all right. If that's the destruction that has been ordered, how does Trump counter? What does he do? He doesn't have surrogates. I mean, there are no surrogates who can do it for him. He has to do it. So he does it in a very blunt and sometimes disturbing way for a president. But my column said, what is his choice? What if he doesn't do it? They are going to marginalize and destroy him. He'll be the laughing stock. And, yeah, in the liberal precincts he is already, but he doesn't care about that. But he has a growing number of people supporting him. And the reason he has it is because he gives them no quarter.
Yes.
He fights back. But now they're turning it around saying, well, your fight back, it's like Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh fought back, oh, he's out of control. Oh, that's not that fight back shows he doesn't have the temperament. Oh, come on. You're being destroyed by these people and you're not allowed to show emotion? It's the same thing. So now with the bomb thing, oh, Trump did it. We're CNN, we're not responsible for any of it. Oh, no, not us. Now, I'm hoping that the vast majority of the American people understand what's happening. I think they do, because CNN's ratings are so terrible. No matter what they do, no matter how they ratchet it up, still very, very few people watch them. So I'm hoping they get it.
Well, they're not going to. So Bill, how much trouble are they in? I mean, the New York Times, literally paragraph 35 in the New York Times, talks about how this doesn't look like these bombs were made by somebody who wanted to actually kill anybody. This was just a statement of some sort. What happens?
I said that from the jump.
Of course, they're cartoon bombs. The only thing it doesn't.
This is the gang that couldn't shoot straight or bomb straight.
This is ridiculous.
From the jump. This was a press. We're going to do this to get it into the press because we know the media will go hysterical.
Correct. And it could be somebody who was on the right and didn't want to kill anybody but wanted to make a statement, and they're crazy. Could be somebody on the left who wanted to do the same thing. Could be somebody who is just a really unbelievably worst bomb maker known to man, which I highly doubt. But it could very well be somebody who thought, you know what, we're going to send these to the press. We're going to send these to all of the enemies of the right, and it will sway an election.
Obviously contrived to get media attention to influence the midterms. I'm putting my money on Putin.
Yeah,
Putin did it.
How does the media respond when it turns out that it's either a prank with no political motive, or it was politically motivated by the left?
Well, that would be an amazing story, wouldn't it? That's why I'm hoping the FBI can, flesh this out pretty quickly. how would the press handle that? I think that they would look, you have to understand that every morning out of the Washington, D.C. think tanks, progressive think tanks, they send stuff to Anderson Cooper and Rachel Maddow and these people. They get stuff. So that they'll sit down and go, okay, now how are we going to spin this? Maybe the person sending it was insane, that kind of thing. They'll never say, well, gee, maybe our side is so crazed now that we have to criticize our side. You're never going to see that, ever.
Back with Bill O'Reilly and the rest of the news of the week in just a second.
Glenn Beck.
Bill O'Reilly. I want to start with something that John Kasich said yesterday, because he was on CNN, and boy, isn't he the voice that we should all be listening to. Listen to what John Kasich said about the Caravan coming from Honduras.
They're marching north, and you know what? It could easily have been all of us. That we're in the Caravan, that we're marching north, trying to save our families and save our children. We've got to start putting ourselves in the shoes of other people. We've got to start thinking about the consequences that others suffer. And if we've been spared those by the grace of God, let us be appreciative. Let us count our blessings.
Hey, stop. I can't take him anymore. Bill, within 6 hours, my crack team found out who these people were, what the real intention was, and the press and John Kasich still are just saying, no, these are just good people. You want to talk a little bit about the Caravan?
Yeah. First of all, I know Kasich a long time. He used to sub for me once in a while on a Factor on Fox. He's a good man, very sincere, did a nice job running Ohio. But John is a theoretical guy. He's not a real world guy, and people ought to know that. So he basically saying, Americans, we have to put ourselves in the position of somebody in Honduras who is poor and oppressed because the society down there is violent and out of control. Okay. But then what is the point of that exercise, Governor Kasich? That we allow everyone in Honduras to come to Ohio? Everyone? And the same thing with all the poor countries in the world? Because that's what you are espousing by saying that the Caravan people should be allowed to seek asylum in the United States. That's what you're saying. Everyone can come here and do that.
We would lose California. Right now. California would be a foreign country within 18 months.
Right. 3-year backlog right now of asylum hearings. And if you apply, you are in the country. You're here for 3 years at least. Okay? What do you do here? Who knows? 50% of all immigrant families, both illegal and legal, are on means-tested welfare. So there's a 1 out of 2 chance that the American taxpayers are going to have to pick up some of your bills. $22 trillion debt right now for the USA. So if you look at the unintended consequences of John Kasich's vision of compassion, it's not compassion at all. You're basically wrecking a system that does provide true opportunity for 320 million Americans should they do what they need to do to succeed. You're wrecking that system, Governor Kasich. Do you not understand that? See, and that's the debate. I mean, I just crushed him in the debate because he would have no answer for any of that.
Bill, tell me who's behind this. Who's financing this?
Well, I do believe it's the progressive crew, the George Soros people, because that's who has done it in the past. And we did a big thing on BillO'Reilly.com last night about Soros after CBS glorified him. We said no. He's pumping in 2018, this year alone, tens of millions of dollars into the worst organizations. And by that I mean they attack and smear anyone they disagree with. David Brock runs one of them. That's the Media Matters guy. And don't tell me that, this is a benevolent man. So I believe that these kinds of people, I can't prove it because there's no accountability in Honduras, but I believe they're behind it because there is big money behind it, as everybody knows.
Bill, I invite you to read what even the president of Honduras is saying. This is backed by a Cuba, Venezuela, and ousted president of Honduras that are blaming the United States for all of the unrest. The former president says that America is going to have to pay for all of this. They'll have to accept our citizens. This is just an ongoing internal battle in Honduras that has, quite honestly, lied to many of their people and said that America is going to have to take you, and they're going to because they're responsible for this mess. This is a Marxist revolutionary that has tried to take Honduras by force. The Supreme Court, two branches of their government, found what he was doing to be unconstitutional and kicked him out, and he's been causing problems ever since. And now he, Venezuela, and Cuba are together in what was formerly known as ALBA, but they are pissed at the United States, and they're the ones financing at least the beginning of it. That's how it started. Now, Soros or others may be involved, but I haven't seen any evidence of that yet, but I would not put it past them.
Right, and it would be interesting to see if there is a pipeline of cash going into Tegucigalpa. So this is what I say. I'm skeptical of everything, and I agree with you. There has been no hard evidence put forth that George Soros or people like him did this, but it's one of these things they've done in the past.
Yes.
But the government of Honduras should be able to trace foreign money coming into that country back. They should be able to show people this is what has arrived here. So I hope they do that. If they believe Cuba and Venezuela are actively involved in subverting their own country, Honduras, and then by extension hurting the USA, they have the ability to find that out. Let's go.
There are two other groups that are being formed now, two other waves that are supposedly following this one. And I would love to hear when we come back what you think the president should do, what you think it looks like if they do arrive at the border, and how the press is going to treat this, and what do sane Americans do to counter that when we come back with Bill O'Reilly.
You're listening to the Glenn Beck Program.
We're with Bill O'Reilly. Bill, let me lay out a scenario here, and you tell me where I'm off base. I don't think this caravan helps the Democrats in the midterm elections, and it's why the press is saying, "Oh, there's no evidence that they're going to come all the way to the border," and they're dismissing it, and that's just a crazy conspiracy thing that get the Trump supporters all wound up. They're all dismissing this now. I can't believe that they're going to make it by the midterm election. I think this is to arrive after the midterm election and a possible new Democratic House, which will throw us into chaos. A, you think there's any reality in there? B, what do you see coming and how things are going to shake out?
Well, I said on BillO'Reilly.com, my analysis is that the Mexican government will break up a lot of the caravan before they start getting onto vehicles, because they're not going to walk to McAllen, Texas, or Tijuana, San Diego sector. They're not going to do it. So they're approaching a railway terminus now in Mexico. Some of them will get on trains heading north. Those trains have to stop in Mexico City, and that's where I believe the Mexican government will start to intervene. Some of them will make it, but
when
they'll
you
be
say
in
some,
vehicles.
thousand,
They're not going to walk.
So you don't think it'll be a mass?
No, they'll break them up. That's what, look, the State Department, Pompeo, is down there now. I mean, he's screaming at them now that, if you let these people en masse go to the border, we're going to take economic reprisals on Mexico. And that's what they'll do, and they know it. So they'll break it up. But some people will reach, and some people will get there, mostly in vehicles. That's where the smugglers come in, the cartels come in, the Pueblos in Frontieras already has vehicles down there. You can do trains. You can do a whole bunch of stuff. But when it gets to that point, the border authorities will put up barriers, new barriers, and it'll be manned by U.S. troops. And there will be no way for the migrants to get to any U.S. official to apply for asylum. Trump's already said he's going to do that. He has to do it. The left is hoping for some kind of violent confrontation. That's what they would like to see. But I agree with you that this is not helping the Democratic Party in the vote 10 days from now. How bad it's hurting them, it depends what section of the country you're in.
Do you see the possibility that real radicals would like to set up a Palestinian Israel situation at our border, and it would be handled exactly the same way by the media as they handle the Palestinians in Israel? They show the big bad state beating up on the little guy. I said 2 years ago, this is what our border is eventually going to look like. They are going to set up a Palestinian kind of situation, and we're going to be Israel. I mean, they've already done this, on the small stage. Bring it to Broadway, bring it to the American border, and that's the way they'll play it.
Maybe, but the Mexican government does not want that. All right, they don't want. They got problems on a border. Juarez, one of the worst places in the world. Tijuana, right behind. They don't want all this because it drains their infrastructure. I mean, this is an environmental disaster for Mexico. These people all need facilities. They need water. They need food. Mexican people are poor. There's not the infrastructure to support this. So, yeah,
so how do
the
they...
left would love shanty towns there with mothers and babies and look at the United States. They're rich and look at these people and let them in. Sure. But the Mexican government, I'm telling you, is under tremendous pressure by the Trump administration not to allow any of this to happen.
So, how do you move 7,000 to 14,000 people and just find enough water? How is this not a humanitarian crisis?
It's a disaster. Now? But they have it set up whereby there are tents. Who paid for those tents?
Yeah, you would think the media would care.
Nah. You kidding?
No, Bill. No.
All they want to do is take the pictures of the poor baby and children and mother.
No, Bill.
Care?
But they care so much about the humanitarian side of this. You would think that they would find out, is there enough baby formula?
Yeah,
who's paying for it?
Right. Look, we've been over this and over this and over this. We don't have a honest press in America anymore, which is an enormous story that is not being covered by the dishonest press. They're not going to cover themselves. So there's guys like you and me, we do it, but most of the American people feel that we do have a functioning honest press, and we don't. On any level.
Let me ask you this. There was a story out this week, and I know you touched on it, about the 1 in 4 college students were in critical distress in response to the Trump election. 25% said they felt like they had PTSD. Yeah,
this is at Arizona State University and in Tempe. And look, it's just an ongoing indicator that there is a segment of the American population under the age of 30 who cannot cope with life. That's why you're seeing the rise of opioids. You're seeing this whole thing. It all plays into we just can't handle it.
Yeah.
We can't handle any stress. No stress zone. We can't have any. we have microaggressions. No, I'm offended by a sign. I'm offended by a speaker. I'm offended by a hat. There's a frog over there. He offends me.
Can you imagine when they have children? My gosh, they're not going to be able to get up in the morning.
But those people will fail. They will fail in our system because our system's not going to change. It's going to be competitive. It's going to be self-reliance. The progressives would love to change it, but it's not going to change in our lifetime. And these people who have all of this anxiety about Donald Trump being president or whatever else it may be are going to fail in the marketplace.
Going to give you an opportunity to address Megyn Kelly. Anything to say about Megyn Kelly?
I think I was kinder to Megyn Kelly than any other person in the news business, as you well know. We featured her on my program in a segment called The Kelly File, which became her name of her program when she got one. We promoted her in the beginning. I thought she was a very honest, great talent and did what I always do. I helped her along. Subsequently, she turned out to be not a very nice person to me and many others at Fox, and went on her way, and now it's not looking so good. But I'm not
specifically,
a person who wants to revel in anybody's discomfort.
Right.
I don't like doing that.
I specifically want to know about what you think about losing a job because you would dare ask a question. If you're not trying to tear somebody down and it's Halloween and here's this specific case about a woman who loved Diana Ross, when is Diana Ross? How is that offensive? And losing your job.
In our PC culture now, and this ties in, it's so ironic because Ms. Kelly, one of the biggest boosters of Me Too, which of course does not take into account due process. So now, did she get due process? No, she did not. Now, her comments may have been to her inoffensive, but if you know your history, black-faced entertainers in America were used to denigrate African Americans.
And she knows that.
She should have known it.
Yeah, well, she does.
I don't know about that, Beck. I really don't know if she knew that or not, because she could have easily pointed that out in a couple of paragraphs before going into any kind of defense of it, and she did not. But in our media society now, if you say anything out of the PC line in the network arena, or if you're attacked by a Me Too situation in the network arena, your career is over. There is no due process, no presumption of innocence, no benefit of the doubt. You're out.
Is it ironic at all that there are so many people on the left in journalism that are celebrating her demise?
I don't know if it's celebrating as much as it's a virtue play. You see, this is what has arisen. All these left-wing commentators see themselves as virtuous. Oh, Megyn Kelly. Did you see what Kirsten Powers wrote in USA Today? Did you see that?
No.
All right. You ought to take a look at that, because she was a Fox News contributor, and who I use a lot. And she just scorched Kelly, absolutely scorched her as a racist. Came flat out, said it. You're a racist. And you know what? I'm a racist too. This is what Kirsten Powers said. But I'm working on it. I'm aware of my racist tendencies because I'm white. For Kirsten Powers, everyone who's white's a racist. White privilege. All right? But I'm working on it, so I'm virtuous, but she's not. And this is what you get, that all of these people that pile on, and I'm certainly not going to do that to Megyn Kelly or anybody else unless it's George Soros. All of these people, I'm the really good person. And it's very frightening what's happening in this country. I could tie it into killing the SS, but I'm sure you don't want to hear that.
Of course you could tie it into killing the SS.
Well, it's all about what you can say.
It's all about fear, and that's what the Nazis were all about.
Absolutely.
It's all about
it
fear.
Goes back to you cannot say things in America anymore.
Yep.
Or you will be punished.
Yes.
Guess what other society had that going on?
Yep. Thank you very much. Bill O'Reilly, best-selling book, Killing the SS. Really, really good. New York Times bestseller, of course. Mr. Bill O'Reilly, we'll talk to you again next week. Thank you so much.
All right.